Okay, let's see what story we're looking at this time. Oh, seriously? Come on. This week we are looking at the episode Face the Raven. This is quite possibly the single worst story to begin talking about the 12th Doctor Witch, but it is definitely, beyond any doubt, the worst story to begin talking about Clara with. But that's genuinely what the randomizer gave me, and I have to follow what it says. But at least I get to talk about my third favorite Doctor. It's 8th at number 2 and 6th at number 1 if you were curious. Hopefully I'll get to talk about them soon. We'll see what the randomizer gives me next time. Face the Raven follows the 12th Doctor and Clara, hearing back from Rigsy, the guest character from the fantastic Series 8 story Flatline, which we will talk about more later. And Rigsy has found a tattoo on the back of his neck, which is a number that is counting down every minute. They arrive and find that Rigsy has had his memory wiped after he went to a trap street, so named after old times when people hand drew maps so that they could protect people from just stealing their maps, so that they could go, oh, did you go out and draw your own map, or did you just copy mine? I made a fake street on here just so I could tell if you copied it. It's a trap street because you're trapped if you have it on your copy of the map. It's a really clever idea. They then go to the trap street, which in the Doctor Who world is a invisible street that is a place where aliens live that you can only get to if you're taken to it or if you already know it exists and know how to find it. They then find that Rigsy was charged with murder of one of the aliens who lives on the street, and he was given the countdown on his neck, which is a countdown to his death. They then have to prove that Rigsy didn't do it, and then everything's fine. Nothing bad happens at all. What are you talking about? Let's talk about the trap street. This is an interesting concept. I love how it's taking this quirk of history and then making it a very Doctor Who-ish idea. The reveal of the trap street, like the actual shot they use to show it, is extremely well done. I love this. The only not good thing about the whole concept is the only thing that the Doctor knows at the beginning of the story is that Rigsy lost his memory. And I don't know how you get from that to there's an invisible street somewhere in London. You gotta find it. Doesn't really make sense to me, but the rest of the story works, so I'm willing to look past it. But it does annoy me a little. And the main reason it only annoys me a little is the hunt for the trap street is really fun. There's how Clara helps them find the general area of the trap street by having her nearly fall out of the TARDIS. And as the TARDIS is flying over London, it's a completely over-the-top scene, but I really like it. The trap street itself also is really great. The concept of an alien refugee camp in a hidden street where they have holograms protecting them from being seen, or if someone comes into the street, is really clever. The street also just has a really great atmosphere. From the gas lanterns to the cobblestones everywhere. It's just a really nice look. But you also see alien tech is like hidden within that, like how the Doctor, Clara, and Rigsy are frozen when they enter until someone presses down on the right brick to set them free. There's just a really cool mix of old school and future tech in this that's really nice. On to the other half of information about the street. The people there are governed and protected by me. Not me talking. There is a character called me. Okay, here's the thing. There's so many episodes leading into this. This is why I was so about reviewing this, because it's the culmination of so many things. It is still good, but so let's back up to earlier in the series where Game of Thrones' Maisie Williams guest starred in 2 episodes: The Girl Who Died and The Woman Who Lived, as a shielder, where the Doctor was able to bring her back to life after she died in the story, but the thing that brought her back to life was going to keep her alive forever. Now, if we ever come to talking about those episodes, I have opinions about that, but let's just stick to this story as much as humanly possible. In the episode The Woman Who Lived, the doctor met with her where she had been losing her memories because she had a finite human memory but an infinite life, and viewed herself as the only constant, so she decided to call herself Me. And she doesn't even remember ever having the name a Shielder. Which, to be clear, call yourself whatever you want, but I can't help but feel like this is that one meme from Reddit of someone wanting to support their newly transitioned friend, one who wanted to name herself Mildred? Me, in my opinion, is just grammatically incoherent, and when I was typing up this script, I fully expected Microsoft Word to threaten me. But weirdly it didn't, so I guess it's just me. Anyway, in this episode, Me has now lived to modern times where she's become the leader of the Trap Street. To keep order on the street, she has set up for a punishment system with something called the Chronolock, and it takes the form of the numbers on your neck and a raven. And to demonstrate what happens with this, we see someone who has stolen medicine for their partner, and he is then pursued by the raven who enters him and he dies. I wonder if any of that has anything to do with the title. Which, real quick, credit where it's due, Doctor Who managed to make a raven pursuing someone to kill them genuinely terrifying. Like, I thought about talking about this with my brother as I was prepping for this, and I realized I'm going to sound insane if I do this, but it is genuinely really scary. All I will say about the death stuff is, death as a punishment for every little transgression you make on the street is extremely draconian, but the story manages to work despite that fact. But I will say, the main focus of the story is actually the companion, Clara. Clara has, at least last time I checked, a reputation of her character kind of being all over the place and kind of being nothing all at the same time. But I will say, especially given what happens to her in this episode, that there is a really good character arc that does carry her. Now, I'm sure there are more episodes than what I'm going to talk about, but I've just done a huge project and I need to focus, so we're going to just stick with talking about a few episodes. Again, as far as I can remember, the arc really started in the previous series episode Flatline, where the Doctor is stuck in the shrinking TARDIS, and she has to take on the role of the Doctor, and we get to see her ability to think and act like the Doctor, and even take on a companion for the episode. Rigsy, the character that returns for this episode. Gee, I wonder if that's narratively relevant. This continued into that series finale's cliffhanger, where we see Clara getting out of Cybermen trying to kill her by her pretending to genuinely have actually always been the Doctor. And this even continues into the opening credits of that episode, where her name is first and it's her eyes in the credits. But the point I'm making here is her best character arc is where she is starting to act and behave more and more like the Doctor. This personified itself in her getting into dangerous situations where everything manages to work out. So let's jump ahead to the first episode where Me first appeared. At the beginning of that episode, Clara is in space, where an alien is in her spacesuit about to kill her. The Doctor saves her at the very last minute, and immediately after she is saved, she's back to calm after. Like, crazy calm. Like, it's just another Tuesday for her. We see this also in this episode in a few places. Like, for instance, when they're looking for the Trap Street's general area, and she is at genuine risk of falling out of the TARDIS as it flies over the city, and she's looking out. She's basically just laying on the floor, using her legs to brace herself from falling out, and she's just laughing at the fun of the entire situation. Then, like the episode where she's saved by the spacesuit, where she relied entirely on the Doctor to save her, here we have her relying entirely on Me and the Doctor's protection from the Trap Street. And we see this presented as her, with her also trying to outthink Me by taking on the tattoo with the timer from Rigsy, because if you choose to give it up, you can give it away to someone. So she's trying to hide it from Me by her taking it on, so that she can help protect her companion. Now, as I said, Clara had gotten very used to risking a lot, and knowing that if she had the protection from the Doctor, she would always be able to get out of it. So in this story, with two sources of protection from the doctor and from me, she thought she had double the protection and that whatever she did, she could get out of it. But it turns out, protection only takes you so far. The doctor and Clara managed to save Rigsy and prove he didn't do the murder. Also that there wasn't a murder. It's not important. The downside to this is, as they're disconnecting the stasis field around the still alive, not dead person, the doctor gets his arm trapped in a teleport bracelet. And it turns out that was Mi's plan. She has traded the doctor for protection for her street. The whole endeavor of Rigsy being accused of murder came because when he arrived on the street, he called out for the doctor. So she learned he knew the doctor. So she used him to get the doctor. After the doctor has gotten the teleport bracelet on, Mi goes to remove the mark of death from Rigsy, only to learn what he and Clara did. Now, unfortunately, because Clara chose to take on the mark, she can't escape it. She chose it. The doctor and Mi both realize what is going to happen and are both upset, but in very different ways. Mi is upset because she did not intend this and is very remorseful and sorry for what is going to happen because she was able to take it off of Rigsy, but because the deal is changed now, she can't take it off of Clara. The doctor is angry at the entire situation because his best friend is going to die and there is nothing he can do to stop it. Death happens to very few companions. The only one I can really think of is Adric. There's also ones like Katrina and Sarah Kingdom, but they weren't in as much and both died in the same 12-part story. And death is a really dramatic way for a companion to end their time. And I will say, because Clara kept pushing closer and closer to the extreme with stuff, it really was the only way out for her. And her death is really well done. She and the doctor get a very emotional goodbye, and Clara leaves the room to go face the Raven on her own. She goes at it very differently from the person we saw earlier in the episode, who ran all over the street to try and escape. Clara instead walks steadfastly towards it, reassuring to herself to be brave, and then the Raven enters her and she dies. The music here is really great. The whole thing's just extremely well done. We then see the aftermath, with the doctor and his anger at the situation, and he even threatens me to stay out of his way because he blames her for the situation. He's then teleported off to go where he was tricked into going. This story is honestly really good. Clara's arc culminates really well here. She had the best of intentions, but not the knowledge to back up the arrogant nature that being the doctor comes with. And like I said, it led to an honestly really well done death. And you know what? As I'm wrapping this up, I'm realizing I honestly should have put this story and the next two episodes in the same slot when I built the randomizer. And I'm too far into this to talk about them now, but you know what? It's my channel. I don't have to use the randomizer if I don't want to. So, next time, not in 2 weeks, I have other stuff I want to talk about. So, next time we're talking about a Doctor Who TV episode, that next time, we're doing Heaven Sent and Hell Bent. And Rigsy has found a tattoo on the back of his neck. And I have to stop. Someone's here. Hi, Future Jackson here from the editing room to saying that in the course of making this review, I've also accidentally made a very important public service announcement, and that is charge your iPads. You may have noticed a small clicking sound going through the last third of the review, and that seems to be, best I can tell, because my iPad ran out of charge. I had to run and get a battery pack and hook it up to that. Or maybe it was the sound of the iPad slowly dying. I really don't know which. All I know is that that sound came in around the time the iPad seems to have died. So, In honor of that, I have put together a highlight reel of me getting frustrated at my iPad dying. And while you watch this, do keep in mind that I was talking specifically around the section of Clara dying during this. Because I had to get back in character mode every single time, and it was really frustrating. So, enjoy. Oh joy, my iPad's dying. Thankfully, we're almost at the end. Come on. Why are you going dormant on me? Come on, just let me finish. God freaking damn it. Death happens to so few companions. And my iPad is seemingly trying to join their ranks. Please tell me I knew my script enough to memorize that well. God, just stay on for a minute. I'm throwing the iPad away after this. Let's just sit here for a minute. So, you having fun? I was till the iPad decided to hate me. Finally. Now I can get rid of this stupid iPad.